Good evening. Good evening to those who are near. Good evening to those who are far, listening in. So, we continue on the topic today. We're going to continue Perek Mem Vav. And we are continuing on the topic of love, Avas Hashem, love for Hashem. Which is a topic that we started last week. And for the 4 prakim that we will be talking about today, prakim Mem Vav, Mem Zayin, Mem Ches, Mem Tes, those are the 4 prakim that we will review today. We'll be talking about a love for Hashem that derives from Kemayim Hapanim Lapanim, Kein Lev Ha'adam La'adam. By drawing on human nature, which is that hearts reflect each other, and therefore when we are aware of, when we're cognizant of someone else's love towards us, that automatically evokes within us a love back to the person who loves us. The Alter Rebbe begins Perek Mem Vav. For those who want to follow inside, we'll be doing loosely inside, maybe a few lines here and there. We're on page Samachay, which is opposite of page 128. So the Alter Rebbe begins with the words, V'yesh derech yashar lifnei ish, there is a straight way before every person, Shava l'chal nefesh. This love that we're going to be talking about is Shava l'chal nefesh. It's equally applicable to everyone. V'karev hadavar me'oid mi'oid. And it is something which is extremely, extremely accessible to every person. So we've discussed different ways of arriving at love for Hashem. And the last prakim we talked about, creating a love for Hashem by contemplating Hashem's greatness. We talked about, channeling a love to Hashem by thinking that nafshi ivisicha, contemplating the idea that Hashem is our life. We spoke about the love of Hashem because He is our Father. But now we're going to introduce a new love, which the Alter Rebbe says right away, is karev hadavar mi'oid mi'oid. And the Alter Rebbe is not prone to exaggeration. The Alter Rebbe says this is very, very accessible, this love to every single person. And that is the love which is based on this idea of Kemayim Hapanim Lapanim, Kein Lev Ha'adam La'adam, which means contemplating just how much Hashem loves us. And when we realize just how much Hashem loves us, that automatically awakens within us a love back towards Hashem. What kind of hisboinus, what kind of contemplation what kind of meditation should we do to contemplate Hashem's love for us? The Alter Rebbe gives a very long and detailed mashal. So he gives an example. He says, imagine a king. Not stam a king, a melech gadol v'rav. A very powerful king, a very great king. And this king shows his love, demonstrates his love to a simple person, a commoner. Not only a simple person, a commoner, but actually a lowlife. And not only a lowlife, but the person is sitting punkt in the middle of the garbage dump outside the city, covered in schmutz. Yeah. Oive is correct. And the king leaves his palace, followed by his entire entourage, his sarim, his avadim, his ministers, and his servants. And he makes a beeline and heads straight to the garbage dump. Straight to the landfill. And walks straight over to this person. Again, a person, no royal blood, no royal lineage. A hedyot, a simple person who's also a lowlife, and the king extracts him from the garbage dump, brings him into the palace, washes him off, cleans him, and enters an incredible relationship with this person with so much love. He hugs the person, he kisses the person. We can imagine how much love this simple person will have for the king. The king brings him in to the inner rooms of the palace. No one else is allowed in but this person. In the words of the Alter Rebbe, 3 lines from the bottom of page Samachay, Va'afim liboy kelev ha'evan. Even if this commoner, the simple person, even if his heart is as hard as stone, Hames yimas, it will melt. It will melt. V'hoyelamayim, it will melt into water. V'tishtapech nafshe kamayim b'chleis hanefesh mamish la'avas hamelach. This person the heart will have so much love for the king that it won't know what to do with itself. It'll be bursting and bursting with love for the king. Says the Alter Rebbe, exactly as we described in this mashal, exactly this picture that we painted for you. But v'gadol yeser mioid bekiflei kiflayim lenkates, but even so much greater, asalanu alakeno. This is exactly what Hashem did for us. Why is it so much greater? Because no matter how great a king is limited. But by Hashem, kilugdulase ein cheker. Hashem's greatness knows no boundaries. And this is exactly what Hashem did. Reb Moshe, can you bring me I'm sorry, from Matrechi every time and I should do it myself. A chumash dvarim. Thank you. And Hashem has an infinite amount of angels serving him. And even though he has an infinite amount of angels serving him, all of them are kolach shiv. He is so great that all of them are mamish like nothing. And who does Hashem love? Hashem loves us. Hashem leaves behind the higher worlds and the lower worlds. He chooses none of them. Who does he choose? Am Yisrael. And Hashem comes down here into this world, into the garbage dump. Not only the world is a garbage dump, but the garbage dump that's in this world, which is Mitzrayim, which we know Mitzrayim was called Erev HaSa'aris. Mitzrayim was the most morally depraved land that there was. And there we were, in the garbage dump, in Mitzrayim as a nation. And it's not only that we were there, located there, but we were covered with filth. We were also, as we know, in the Memtesh Shari Tuman, the 49 gates of impurity. And Hashem came down into Mitzrayim. The greatest king comes down by himself. As we say in the Gada, Hashem could have sent an angel to take us out. He has plenty of angels. He could have sent a shliach to take us out, but no. As the pasuk says, that Hashem himself, Hashem himself came down into Mitzrayim, and he took us out of Mitzrayim. Why? Because he loves us so much. He didn't want to send an malach. He didn't want to send a shliach. And what does he do? He pulled us out of Mitzrayim. And he takes us into his palace, and he enters this most incredible relationship with us. What does he do? He gave us the Torah and the mitzvahs. The Torah and the mitzvahs are Hashem's hugs and Hashem's kisses. As explained in Tanya, every time that we speak words of Torah, we're literally kissing Hashem. Every time we do a mitzvah, that is Hashem hugging us. And when we contemplate this idea of how Hashem, the incredible love that Hashem has for us, and despite His greatness, and despite all the malachim, and despite all the higher worlds, everything, He comes down into Mitzrayim, swoops down, extracts us from the tumah, and brings us close to Him to enter this relationship. There is no way that if we take a few moments to contemplate that our heart doesn't respond with a reciprocal love for Hashem. And as we said, the Alter Rebbe begins the Perek by saying that this is Karev Hadavar Mioid Mioid. This is something which is very, very accessible to everyone. Because every Madriga of Avos Hashem that we discussed up until this point is a level, without getting into the details, but every single one of them requires a certain edelkeit. We have to make ourselves more edel, we have to become a little more holy in order to arrive at that Ahavas Hashem. Suddenly here the Alter Rebbe is giving us a level of love for Hashem, or an avenue of love to Hashem, where we don't have to become any more holy or any more refined in order to be able to arrive at this Ava. Because to the contrary, think about it for a second. The more I am unholy, the more depraved I am, the more aveirus that I have done, the more I'm in shmutz, the greater the love. The greater my love. In other words, the fact that I realize that regardless of how lowly I am, Hashem still has this incredible love for me. So the more lowly I am, the more love I have for Hashem. My loneliness is not an impediment to my love for Hashem. To the contrary, I actually leverage my lowliness in this love. As we'd say, Kol za'achnis b'kal v'chomer. I'm lowly, so therefore I can't love Hashem. No. Because I'm lowly and Hashem still loves me, so actually I have even more reason why to love Hashem. So my lowliness is not a reason why not to love Hashem. To the contrary, that also becomes part of my motivation to love Hashem. So Hashem pulled us out of Mitzrayim. He gave us the Torah, He gave us the mitzvahs, and Asher Kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav. As we say every single time before we do a mitzvah, Asher Kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav. What does it mean, Kiddeshanu? So the Rebbe over here is going to give two pirushim in the word Kiddeshanu. One pirush in the word Kiddeshanu, 3 lines from the bottom of page 130. V'zehu shekasav Asher Kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav ka'adam hamekadish isha. Like a man who betroths a woman. Liyos miyuchadas imoy beyichud gamor. The purpose of that is that the man wants to be united with the woman in a complete unity. As it says in the pasuk, v'davak bi'ishtay, that the man cleaves to his wife, and they become literally one entity, one flesh. So when we say Asher Kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav, the word Kiddeshanu is related to the word Kiddushin. Kacha mamish v'yeser al kain. Exactly so, and so much more than this. Le'ein kates, infinitely more than this. Hu yichud nefesh o likis o yisekes b'teiro mitzvahs is the unity of the neshama that's preoccupied in Torah mitzvahs, and v'nefesh achiyunis u'luvoshein anal, and also the nefesh bahamis be'er ein seif baruch hu. And that's why Shlomo HaMelech, as the Alter Rebbe continues in Shir HaShirim, when he talks about our relationship with Hashem, he compares it to the relationship of a chasna and a kala, with connection and desire and yearning and hugging and kissing. Because Asher, imagine if every single time before we did a mitzvah, we're busy, we want to go eat lunch, and we're hoping to get some mezainis bread so we don't have to wash. I'm not going to get into the details about mezainis bread, the halachic parameters of that. But sorry. But even for argument's sake, there is this idea of mezainis bread. And again, for argument's sake, instead of eating the mezainis bread, we can wash. And we can make a bracha. We can take a moment to think, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav. That by me washing my hands, by listening to the words of Chazal, because the Natilas Yadayim is a mitzvah derabanan, but by me washing my hands, what I'm accomplishing right now is kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav. It's like I'm married to Hashem. I'm achieving unity with Hashem when I'm doing this mitzvah. Like v'hoyu lebasar echad, like the unity of a chassan and kala. That's much better than mezainis bread. Much better. Imagine how if every day, every time we say Asher Kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav, but all the different mitzvahs that we do, whether it's sittas or whether it's tefillin, whether it's Natilas Yadayim, whichever other mitzvahs that we do, take a moment to think of the implication of what we're saying. That pashat Hariat Mikudashas. With this mitzvah, Hashem is saying Hariat Mikudashas li, that we are one with Hashem. And who are we? Who am I? We're Mitzrayim. And Hashem swoops down, takes us out of the garbage, and He is Mekadishim to Himself. And then the Alter Rebbe adds another pirush, Asher Kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav, is that Hashem made us holy with His mitzvahs, which is more or less the Pashta Pshat. And he continues, Shehelanu lemailas kodesh ha'elyon baruch hu, that through the mitzvahs, Hashem has elevated us to the level of kodesh ha'elyon baruch hu, the holiness of the one above. Shehi kedushasi shel hakadosh baruch hu b'chveido ve'atzmai. When we do a mitzvah, we are right now as holy as Hashem is. That's difficult words even to say, but this is not me saying it. Asher Kiddeshanu b'mitzvaysav means that Hashem has elevated us to His own level of Kiddusha. Now there are many different levels within Hashem, as we know. But the Kiddusha, He Lashon Havdalah. We're talking about the level of Kiddusha as Hashem is completely movdal, separated from the worlds. As Alter Rebbe continues, V'hi b'chin ha'seiv of Kol Almin, we're talking about the level of Kiddusha, of Hashem's Kiddusha, that is so high that it can't even enter this world. That is the level of Kiddusha that we are attaining when we do a mitzvah. So when we do a mitzvah, we are one with Hashem, Lashon Hariat Mikudashas, and also we are on the level of holiness of Hashem. Yes?
So why we say B'tzivanu? If we are as a Kiddushin with Hashem,
through the Vitzivanu, through the mitzvah that He commanded us, we reach the level of Asher Kiddushanu. Well,
my question is, if we are united with Hashem as a Kiddushi, as Vayu lebasar echad, why Hashem has to give us tzivui to do this and this and this? If we are together, it's not tzivui. We have to do it with love, without tzivui.
That's a very good point. But many of us wouldn't do it otherwise. So Hashem commands us. But there's actually a sikha from the Rebbe where the Rebbe talks about, there's a Maimer Chasal that says, mitzvah is b'teilos lo-asad love. When Mashiach comes, there won't be any more mitzvahs.
What's going on?
And the Rebbe asks, how do you reconcile that with what the Rambam says? No, what the Rambam says, that one of the foundations of Torah is Zeis Torah is la'adul olmi alamim leitei muchlefes. This Torah is forever. And the Rebbe explains, when Mashiach comes, of course we'll be doing, we're putting on filling and giving tzedakah and keeping Shabbos, but it won't be a mitzvah anymore. The idea of a commandment requires two separate entities, the one who's commanding and the one who's commanded, and that won't exist. We're going to be so in sync with Hashem that we'll automatically doing Hashem's will, because that becomes our will also. So you touched on a deep point. Now, the fact, however, remains that most of us, in the middle of the day, we take out our sandwiches to eat lunch, and we go and we wash quickly, and we mumble Shekel Shanim and Mitzvah. And at this moment, we're achieving this incredible unity with Hashem, like Kiddushin, and this incredible level of Kiddusha, and we are completely oblivious. Our mind is elsewhere, our heart is elsewhere. We don't feel holy, we don't feel married to Hashem. So the Rebbe says this is the meaning of what it says in Tehillim. That Asaf, Mizmer LaAsaf, he said, Vani bar v'lei eda. This is 3 lines from the bottom of page Samach Vav. He said, Vani bar v'lei eda, I am a boar and I know nothing. Behemi sayisi imach, I'm like a behema with you. Vani tamed imach, and I'm always with you. So the Rebbe explains that what Asaf is saying is, I am a bar, I'm a boar, I know nothing. I don't know. The word Eda also means I don't feel the connection. The word Das is related to the idea of connection. I don't feel any connection. And I don't know anything. I'm like a behema mamish. I'm doing a mitzvah, I'm like a behema. You know, we've given an example a few times. Imagine you're going in the Louvre and you're passing the Mona Lisa, so you get all excited and it's all you get moved. But imagine there's a cat walks by the Mona Lisa and looks up at the Mona Lisa. That when we're doing a mitzvah, we're the same way. We're a behema. We have zero just like the cat has no idea that it's walking right now in front of the most famous painting piece of art in the entire world, which is probably, I can't even say it's worth millions. I think it's probably priceless. But the cat has zero idea. When we're doing a mitzvah, we're in the exact same place. We're like a behema. Zero recognition of what's going on. The fact that at this moment we're mikudesh as to Hashem, and we're one with Hashem, and we're achieving the level of kedusha of Sevek Lamen. But even though we're behemois, hayisi imach, we are with you. In other words, it doesn't change the fact that at this moment I'm one with you. Va'ani tamid imach, and I'm always with you. The fact that I'm a behema doesn't in any way impact. The words Dr. Rebbe, 4 lines on the top of page 132. Even though that I'm a behema, afal pikein ani tamid imach, nevertheless I'm always with you. Ke'ein ha'choyma, the fact that I am so chumristic, that I'm so grub, it's not minea, that does not in any way prevent yichud ha'nefesh ba'ir ein seif baruch hu, the yichud ha'nefesh. Now, if we take a few moments to think about this whole idea, this idea of how Hashem, this great and mighty King, greater and mightier than anything we can imagine, who He comes down to Mitzrayim, pulled us out of Mitzrayim, and brought us close to Him, to enter into this incredible relationship with Him, the Ava will automatically flow back to Hashem, Kamayim upon Him, that's human nature, that when that hearts reflect each other, when one heart loves another, the other heart returns that love. That's Perik Memvav and Tanya.
So how come some mitzvot has Hashem Yechud before, so you can make more kavanah, and after that do the bracha? Not all the mitzvot has Hashem Yechud.
I don't know. It's a good question. In other words, why certain mitzvahs yes, certain mitzvahs no, I don't know. Perek, it's easier to become a Lubavitcher because we don't do it before any mitzvah, so then you won't have any questions.
You have an incentive. You're the Babchi.
Perek Mem Zayin. In Perek Mem Zayin, the Alter Rebbe is continuing on the theme of Perek Mem Vav. He says, you might be, after we just finished the whole Perek, and you said, that's taka true, but you know what? Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. That was more than 3,300 years ago. Had I been alive 3,300 years ago, I would be overflowing with love for Hashem, because there I was in Mitzrayim, in this terrible place physically, and a terrible place spiritually, and Hashem comes down, He pulled us out, and He brought us to Har Sinai. But 3,300 years later, I was never in Mitzrayim. So how am I supposed to apply this concept to myself? So the Rebbe begins the Perek with the famous words from the Haggadah. V'hinei, Perek Mem Zayin. B'chol doir v'doir. And the Alter Rebbe adds in, V'chol yoim v'yoim. Every generation, every day, chayav adam liris atzmai. Ki'ilu hu yatsa hayim Mitzrayim. Yitzias Mitzrayim is something that happens every single day. When does it happen every single day? We're all in Mitzrayim. We all know that. What is our Mitzrayim? Our guf, our nefesh bahamis, our selfishness, our ego, our bad habits, the whole package that Baruch Hashem we're all blessed with. We all have this Mitzrayim. It's built in. It's built into the system. We come with a Mitzrayim, ready-made, prefab. And every single day, we go out of Mitzrayim. When do we go out of Mitzrayim? Well, in general, every time we do a mitzvah and every time we learn Torah, we're going out of Mitzrayim. But in a more specific sense, we go out of Mitzrayim when we daven in the morning, and even more specifically when we say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And what does Hashem Elokeinu mean? Hashem Elokeinu is Hashem telling you, Harei at Mikudash Asli. Hashem is not just Hashem, that there is a God, there's an Eibishter. Hashem Elokeinu, He's our Eibishter. Just like we say in davening, we say Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. When we say Shema Yisrael, we say Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem is my God and one with me, just like Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. Hashem pulls me out of my Mitzrayim every day, especially during davening, and allows me to have this relationship with Him. But there's a difference between the way it was by Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov and the way it is by me. And the difference is that Avram Avinu merited his relationship with Hashem through his own avodah. As the pasuk says, Holech v'naseya hanegba. Avram Avinu was constantly going and traveling and trying to achieve a love for Hashem. Hanegba is Kabbalistic for love. It's on the Dharam's on the right side is the side of love. And Avram, because he had such an incredible Ava for Hashem, because he had such a great Avodas Hashem, he was Zoicha, that we say Elokei Avram. What did we do to be Zoicha, to say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, that Hashem is our God? What did we do? Nothing. Yes. It's a gift. It's a Yerusha. As the Alter Rebbe says in the last line of page 132, Avlanachnu Yerusha umatana hilanu shenasan lanu es teirase. We have a gift, and what is the gift? That Hashem gave us the Torah. And what is the Torah? As we spoke many times, Torah, some people think that Torah is beautiful ideas and smart ideas and lofty ideas, and the Talmudic wisdom and the logic. Torah is a delivery system. Torah contains within it Hashem's Chachma, Hashem's Ratzon, which is one with Hashem Himself. To put it in different words, and see these words inside, V'hareza ki'ilu nasan lanu es atzmei kaviyachol.
God Himself.
Hashem put Himself in the Torah, and not the Gemara says, and not nafshi ksavis yehavis. He put Himself into the Torah and gave the Torah. So, what is the Torah? The Torah is a vehicle. It's a vehicle for Hashem. Yeah, and it's a gift. Avram had to work very hard to be able to be called Elokei Avram. And by us, it's a gift. I don't know if there's a medrash or it's a mashal. This is a story said by Chassidim. Maybe it's based on a medrash, maybe not. But Kapanim, the story goes that there's a bird called Atzlanis. A bird. Atzlanis means lazy.
Lazy. Atzu.
So it's in the middle of the desert, and it's about to die from thirst because it has nothing more to drink, and it's too lazy to go and to fly to a source of water. It has wings, it's perfectly capable, but it's lazy. It would rather die than fly to water. So Hashem is Verachmov al Kol Ma'asav. Hashem has mercy on all His creations, even this lazy bird. So what does Hashem do? Hashem causes a big wind to come, and the wind picks up the bird and makes it land right on a riverbank. And the river looks at the water, and it's too lazy to put down its head and its beak into the water and to start drinking. And it's almost the same thing with us. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they had to work a tremendous amount in order to be able to be Zoicha to Lekei Avram, Lekei Yitzchak, Lekei Yaakov. We, by us, it's a Yerusha, it's a Matana. What do we have to do? As Dr. Rebbe says, and therefore, because we have this gift, Ein meinei alonu, there's nothing stopping us medveikus hanefesh b'yichudei v'eiris barach, from completely connecting our nefesh in Hashem's unity and Hashem's light. Ella haratzon, the only thing stopping us is our willpower. Shem eina adam reitzer klal chas v'shalom l'davka bay. No one's forcing you. You don't want to connect. You don't want to learn Torah. You don't want to do mitzvahs. But if you want to, there's nothing stopping. Because it's a Yerusha, it's a Matana. The Torah is there for you, the mitzvahs is there for you. And every single day, Hashem is busy taking you out of your Mitzrayim, giving you Torah, giving you the mitzvahs. So what we're talking about before, about the king coming down and pulling our nation out of Mitzrayim and entering into this incredible relationship with them, is not only something that happened 3,300 years ago, but every single day, when we daven, when we learn, when we do Torah mitzvahs, we're able to have and be able to say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Asher Kedoshanu B'Mitzvosav, and this is something which every single one of us has. And once again, thinking about this, and if we take a few moments to think about it, not only to understand it, but to think about it, and to let it absorb these ideas, how can we not respond with incredible love for Hashem, realizing just how much Hashem loves us, and this incredible Yerusha and Matana that every single one of us has. That's Perik Mem Zayin. So Perik Mem Vav talks about the general idea of Kamam Apanim Lapanim, Shem taking us out of Mitzrayim, and Perik Mem Zayin talks about how this is really the reality which happens to every single Yid every single day. And with that we move to Perik Mem Ches, and Perik Mem Ches continues on the topic of Kamam Apanim Kein Lev Adam LaAdam, but it's a slightly different angle. We move away from the angle of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and we move to a different angle, slightly different angle. And Perik Mem Ches introduces us to a famous concept. Anyone who learns Chassidus Chabad, it's something which we encounter all the time, the idea of Memala Kalam and a Seva Kalam. We actually even mentioned earlier today the concept of Seva Kalam. The Memala and Seva, sometimes that's also known as Ur Makif and Ur Pnimi. Memala Kalam is what's called Ur Pnimi, it's the light and the energy of Hashem which enters us with a Pnimius. And then there's the Seva Kalam, which is the Ur Makif. Now Rebbe explains that originally the light of Hashem is unlimited, is infinite. From that light of Hashem, limited worlds cannot emerge. Even if you were to take that light and contract it, and further contract it, and further contract it, and further contract it, you would never get limited worlds from that. That's like trying to take light and contract, and then till it becomes a stone. It doesn't work that way. You can have light becoming less light and less light and less light. It's not going to become into a stone. The infinite light of Hashem, no matter how many contractions it's going to undergo, you'll never get limited worlds from that. And when we say limited worlds, we're not even talking about necessarily only this world, but the entire chain of Seder Ishtalshalos, of limited worlds, of Bria and Yetzira and Asiya, none of that can emerge directly from what we call the Ur Ein Sof. In order to get to the worlds, all that light has to be moved away. It's what's called Tzimtzum Harishain. There's the original Tzimtzum, the infinite light is moved aside. Obviously we're talking metaphorically. And then, in the empty space that remains behind, Hashem brings in a very small little ray of finite light, finite energy, limited energy, and that energy enters the worlds, and that is the life and the vitality and the life force, the neshama of all the worlds. These two types of light, the infinite light of Hashem and the very limited light of Hashem, which is the source of the worlds, are known as the Malakal Alman and Seivukal Alman. The Malakal Alman is the Oyer, the light that enters the world, and the Seivukal Alman, which is the light which surrounds the worlds. And Dr. Rebbe makes it very clear that when we're talking over here about the light that surrounds the world, we're not talking about spatially. We don't mean that there's light that's inside the universe and there's light that's outside the universe, because whenever we're talking about light of Hashem, we're not. In the words of the Alter Rebbe, when you're talking about spiritual entities, they're not confined in space. You can't say this is here and this is there. So we can't say this light is in the world or that light is outside the world. But instead, Seviv Kalam, Malakal Alman are terms we use to describe the light that's revealed in the world is Malakal Alman. That's the light that enters the world on its terms, and that's the light that's revealed in the world. And then Seviv Kalam, the light that surrounds the world, that's the light that's not revealed in the world. The world is not able to access it or to grasp it or to comprehend it, which is why it's called Soiviv. It transcends our awareness, it transcends our consciousness. That's why it's called Soiviv Kalaman. And that's the Nakuda of Perik Memches, is Dr. Rebbe introducing the idea of Memala Kalaman and Soiviv Kalaman. And that Perik Memches leads directly into Perik Memtes, where the Alter Rebbe says, okay, in order to get what we've established in the past Perik, was that in order to arrive at this limited world required an incredible amount of Hashem removing His light and then contracting His light. Why did Hashem do all this? Why did Hashem push away all His infinite light and then further contract and contract and contract? What was the purpose of it all? The purpose of it all was Ahavas Olam Ahavtanu. Hashem's love for Klal Yisrael, Hashem's love for every single one of them, for every single one of us. In the words of the Alter Rebbe on page Samachtas, the Tachlis Kolatzim Tzumim, the purpose of all the contractions of all the light, Hu Kidei Livrei Gufa Adam HaChumri, is in order to create simply the human body, the body of the Yid. That is the purpose of the whole, all the chain. In the Kabbalah we talk about the infinite worlds that there are, and what is the purpose of everything? The purpose of all the worlds and the objective, the Kavana, is the Yid. And now we move back to the idea of Kamaim Hapanim Lapanim. Alter Rebbe says that just like Hashem, He disregards everything that's important to Him. He disregards His Eir Ein Sof. And then He disregards the higher worlds, and the Malachim, and the Srafim, and the Ifanim, the Chayes HaKodesh, and the Merkava. And what does He desire, and what does He want? He wants us, He loves us. In the whole cosmos, and I say the cosmos, I mean the spiritual cosmos, with everything that's there, from Malakalam and Seivakalam and everything, none of them capture Hashem's interest. He's so in love with us, Hashem. He's so in love with me and you and you and you and you, that nothing that's going on in the higher worlds fascinates Him or interests Him. His eyes are always here. As the Malachim, as we say in Birchat Krishma, the Malachim say, All the malachim, they're all batal, they're all holy to him. And they say, Baruch Kvod Hashem Mekoimai. Because they don't know where he is. But where is he, Taka? The Eibishter is over here. That's where his interest is. And this, the Alter Rebbe says, is the reason why, when we get to the pasuk, V'hafta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha b'chol meidecha. What does that mean? It means there are a lot of things in this world that that we like, that we love. There's our wife and our children, and their merumas in the words levavcha. There's our life, that's merumas in the word nafshecha. There's our possessions, and that's alluded to in the word b'chol meidecha. V'haftas Hashem Elokecha, we have to love Hashem despite all of them. In other words, there's nothing in our life, all those things that we love, none of them should distract or detract from our love for Hashem. How do we get to that? So therefore, before Shema, in the Birchas Kriya Shema, we talk all about the Malachim and how their service for Hashem, which is impeccable and holy, and how they scream Kaddish, Kaddish, B'ni Imma Kedoisha. We can only begin, if you've ever been to a holy gathering of Jews where they're singing and davening and praising Hashem, imagine that times a million. We can only begin to imagine the avodah of the Malachim. And after we finish all that, after we finish describing the avodah of the Malachim, how incredibly pure and holy they are, how they're all the highest levels, what is the next thing we say? That who does Hashem love? And who does Hashem care about? Us. Avas oilam. Hashem loves us so much that oilam, He created the world for us. With all the contractions that took to come from Soviv to Memala, and with all the tzimtzumim. And then we continue. Uvanu v'chartam v'kalam v'loshem. How Hashem chose us. And as the Alter Rebbe says, when we say that Hashem chose us, we're not talking here about our neshamas. Hashem did not choose our neshamas. He didn't need to choose our neshamas. Our neshamas are holy. He chose our gufim. The guf of a yid is holy. V'keiraftanu malkeinu, He brought us close. L'hoidis lachal yachedcha u'la'ava shemecha. And once we finished all this, we're ready to say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and we're holding by a level of V'hafta. Once again, this is continuing on the idea of Kamayim Apanim Apanim Kein Leva Adam LaAdam. So the first in Perik Mem Vav Mem Zayin, the Alter Rebbe was saying that we have to love Hashem because He took us out of Mitzrayim. And Perik Mem Ches Mem Tes, they were talking about taking a cosmic view of all the worlds and everything that Hashem in the higher worlds, and how Hashem has Dafka and Ava for us despite everything, and realizing that brings out in us such an incredible love back for Hashem. And then as soon as we finish saying V'hafta Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha b'chol meidecha, so what's the next thing that we do? We say V'hayu advarim ha'ela asher anechi mitzav chayim al levavecha v'shnat mu'varecha. How do I channel all this incredible love that I feel for Hashem? Because when you love something or someone, it's very hard when that love just has to stay in your heart and you can't do something. You can't do something with that love. So what do we do with it? We learn Torah. We do the mitzvah. The mitzvah is and thereby we're making a dir b'tachtonim for Hashem through the learning Torah and the doing the mitzvahs. So that's these four prakim, which comprises an entire sugya in Avas Hashem, which is an Ava of Kamayim Hapanim Lapanim Kein Leva Adam LaAdam. Now, as we all know, we're in a special time, in the 9 days. And B'chlal, we know with Daf Leben mit der Zeit, we always have to live with the times. And if we look in the parsha of the week, we usually find different things related to what we're learning about in Tanya. And this week, obviously, is no exception. There's a very interesting pasuk in this week's parsha. An interesting Rashi. So, as we know that This parsha is filled with Musar that Moshe Rabbeinu is giving the Yidden for the various things that they did in the Midbar. And one of the things that Moshe rebukes the Yidden for was for the story of the Meraglim. And Moshe tells the Yidden, "V'leyavisam lales," you did not want to go up to the land. V'tamuru es pi Hashem alekeichem, thereby rebelling against the word of Hashem. V'tiragnu v'aleichem, and you grumbled in your tents. V'toimru, and you said, "B'sinas Hashem esanu," that out of Hashem's great hate for us, Hetziyona meretz Mitzrayim, He took us out of Mitzrayim. Lasi sisana b'yad ha'ameri, and the purpose is that He wanted to deliver us into the hands of the Amorim Lashmidenu, who will destroy us. That's the pasuk. So Rashi says on this, first of all, I'm going to do it a little out of order. So Rashi says, "B'sinas Hashem Isanu Itziana Mitzrayim," and Heitza'asai L'sina Ha'isan. The first thing the Yidden said was, Hashem took us out Mitzrayim because He hates us. And He gives a whole mashal. And He explains, what do you mean that He took us out because He hates us? Because Mitzrayim is superior to Eretz Yisrael. Because in Mitzrayim you have the Nilus which irrigates the whole land. And in Eretz Canaan, no, you need to have rain. And sometimes it doesn't rain. So therefore, why did Hashem take us out of Mitzrayim, which is a good land, and taking us to Eretz Yisrael, which is a bad land? It must be that He hates us. And Rashi says also, although I'm going out of order, this was the first Rashi. B'sinas Hashem Eisanu, v'hu haya oyev eschem. And the truth is, Moshe is saying, you're saying that Hashem hated you. He loves you. Aval atem soinem Moshe, and you hate Him. Mashal had yet oimer. This is what they say by people. Ma de belibach al rachamach, that which you have in your heart on your friend, is ma de belibi Allah, is what He has in his heart about you. So first of all, right away we see our connection. K'mayim apanim lapanim, k'nei vadim ladam, is in the Rashi over here. There's a sikha from the Rebbe where the Rebbe dissects this whole thing in the Rebbe's inimitable style. The Rebbe asks, 10 questions on these Rashis. And the Rebbe gives a beautiful hasbara, which obviously we don't have the time to go through the whole thing. But the Rebbe explains that the Yidden over here came up with a big chiddush. There's a big chiddush in this pasuk over here. And that is based on Vatiragnu ba'alechem. The Yidden were grumbling in their tents. What does that mean? If you look in Parsha Shlach, it doesn't say anything about the Yidden going into their tents and complaining over there. It says the contrary. The Yidden came out in front of all the Yidden, in front of Moshe and Aaron, and they told them that we're going to go to the land and we're going to be killed. What's this Vatiragnu ba'alechem? And the answer is, when do you go and shushka and whisper in your tent? When you're saying something which you know isn't true. So you don't have the chutzpah to say it in front of everyone. But when you're sitting with your mishpacha, you can say something even though you yourself know that it's not emes. So there's two things going on here. One thing is they're saying is that Hashem took us, He took us that we're going to get destroyed by the Canaanim. Okay, you know what? That's something which you could say is a logical argument. But the first thing that they were saying is, B'tzinas Hashem Eisanu Hesiyanu Meretz Mitzrayim. Talk about what we just finished learning today in Tanya. The incredible love that Hashem has for us, that He comes down into Eretz Haaretz, comes down Mitzrayim, takes us out, and here are the Yidden coming a year later, and what are they saying? Do you know why Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim? Because He hates us. And that is such a blatant falsehood that they didn't even have the chutzpah to say it out loud. They went back to say such a sheker, they went back, Vatiragnu ba'alechem.
It wasn't the Erev Rav that...
No, Erev Rav were probably... no, it wasn't Erev Rav. And this was a sheker. This whole idea that Hashem took them out of Mitzrayim, Eretz Mitzrayim was an inferior land by far. Right away, when Moshe came to Mitzrayim and told the Yidden he's taking them out, he already gave them the message. Hashem told him then to give him the message. You should know, Ela eschem ma'ani Mitzrayim el Eretz Tov v'Rechav, it's a much better land. Here in Mitzrayim, if you want to water the fields, you have to go schlep the water on buckets on your shoulders. In Eretz Yisrael, you go to sleep at night and it rains and everything gets watered. So it was a lie, an absolute lie. And what happens? The Yidden are coming and tining and saying that Hashem hates us. What does Rashi say on that? No, Hashem doesn't hate you. He loves you. You hate him. Mashal had yetaimer. What is the mashal on this? That which is in your heart on your friend, Allah, is really what he's thinking about you. Meaning what? You're coming over here and you're saying that Hashem hates us, and you're saying, why does Hashem hate us? We don't get it. We love Hashem. Why does he hate us? And the truth is the exact opposite. You're saying that you love Hashem and he hates you, and the truth is the exact opposite. That Hashem loves you and you hate him. That's the Kamaim Aponim Laponim. Kamaim Aponim. It's the exact reflection. What you're saying about Hashem is the truth, the way Hashem feels about you. In other words, you had both sides over here, one correctly and one falsely, each one saying that I love the other and the other doesn't love me. But the truth is, Kamaim Aponim Laponim, Kein Le'avadam La'adam. And sometimes you can have that. You can have two people, and each one, the emes, loves the other person, but each one thinks, is not sure that the other person loves them back, or is unsure about it. Each one is scared to make the first move and to approach. I'm worried, what's the person going to say? What's going to be the repercussions? What's going to be the consequences? And one of the things we have to know is that if you feel love for another person, so Kamaim Aponim Laponim, that person loves you also, make the move and go reach out to that person. So that's a simple connection between this pasuk and Rashi to the Tanya, but it actually goes much deeper than that, and we'll get back to it soon. But first I want to go in a different direction. We're going to get back to this Rashi. We know that right now we're in the 9 days. So if there was ever a time when it would seem that we don't feel Hashem's love for us, we just finished learning this whole these prakim about how much Hashem loves us, but here we are in the 9 days mourning the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, both Batei Mikdash and the thousands of years of Galus that followed, and all the tzaras and the Yisurim which were and which continue. But what's very interesting to note is, where is the first reference to Galus in the Torah? Where's the first place in the Torah where we're told about the idea of Galus? The answer to that is in the Bris Bein Absarim. We know there's a Bris Bein Absarim, and Avram falls asleep, and Hashem tells him, Yedei Teda, you should know that your children are going into Galus, right? Your children are going into Galus. Which to think about how ironic this is. Here we have the Bris Bein Absarim. What is the definition of a bris?
A covenant.
Bris is a covenant. What does a covenant mean? Covenant means two people come together and they say to each other as a
Contract.
I love you and you love me. So if I love you and you love me, then what's the problem? What's the issue? Why do you have to make a covenant? We're good. What's the purpose of a covenant?
To stay forever.
Stay forever.
An agreement.
It's an agreement. So, but why shouldn't it stay forever? So the covenant is two people coming together and saying, right now our love for each other is revealed. But a year down the line, 2 years down the line, that love might disappear. So therefore right now what we're doing is we're binding ourselves together. And what you want to say in the words of Pirkei Avos, Ha'ava she'ena tluya b'davar, or in Chassidic terminology, Ha'ava shelamayla mitam vadas, we are right now committing that our love is so powerful and so strong that even if in a year from now, 2 years from now, logically I shouldn't be loving you, logically we should break our relationship, emotionally I don't feel connected to you, but our connection remains as strong as ever. So a bris is the strongest type of love possible. It's two people tying together to each other in a love which can never be broken. And obviously, when the covenant is actually being finalized, we can only imagine the incredible love that both sides are feeling for each other at that moment, which therefore causes them to enter into this bris together. So here we have this historic occasion of Hashem making this bris with Avram and declaring His incredible love for him by virtue of the fact they're making the bris. And at this bris bein absarim, what's the beautiful news that Hashem tells Avram Avinu? He comes to Avram and says, hey, I love you so much, I'm going to love you forever. We're making this bris. Oh, and by the way, your children are going into Galus.
That's very.
Talk about bad timing. Even if there is some sort of need, yeah, I understand. I get it. Sometimes we do Averis, we mess up, there are consequences. But at the bris bein absarim, Muzman Zagen, we have to say that Galus is also love. And maybe not also love, but is Ersht love.
It's what? Ersht?
Ersht. In other words,
What does that mean?
no, someone help me.
First.
I know it's,
What?
Earnest.
in other words, it's more love even than other things that appear to be love. And this is something which is also alluded to by Chazal. The Gemara says in Masechtas Yuma, it's also brought down in the Psichte for Medrash Rabbi Eicha. It says that when the Goyim entered, the Gemara says when the Goyim, and the Medrash says Amen and Moav, when they entered the Beis HaMikdash, they entered the Heichal, they entered the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and they saw the Kruvim, Me'urim Zebazah.
What's that mean?
Me'urim Zebazah. The Kruvim were hugging each other.
Hugging each other. Yeah.
We know the Kruvim were like Me'urim, yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
intermingled in each other. We know the Kruvim was of a boy and a
They
girl.
were facing each other.
But not only they were facing each other, Me'urim, their wings were, yes,
Yeah.
hugging, embracing. So the Goyim, they took the Kruvim out, they put it in a cage, and they paraded it around the streets of Yerushalayim. And they told everyone, take a look at what we found in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You know, the man and the woman embracing. That's
Disgusting.
disgraceful, yeah. No, that's because the Goyim is that the Ramban speaks about it, and the Ravid speaks about it, how the incredible kedusha of zivug, and the Goyim don't get that. The Goyim look at zivug as something which is disgraceful. But the point being, that's what happened. That's state. All the Mefarshim ask a question that earlier on in the same daf Nun Dalet in Sektas Yuma, the Gemara says over there that Bisman that when the Eden are doing what Hashem wants, so then the Kruvim would be embracing. Why? Because the Kruvim represented Hashem and Klal Yisrael. Bisman when we're not doing what Hashem wants, so therefore Hashem's Ahava is not revealed to us, so then the Kruvim would not face each other. Here we are at the moment of the Churban Beis HaMikdash. You have to assume that this is a time when the Kruvim will not be facing each other, where their Ava isn't, Hashem's Ava isn't apparent. And instead, what do we see? They're Me'urim, they're embracing. The Beis HaMikdash is being destroyed, and the Kruvim, which symbolize Hashem and Klal Yisrael, are embracing each other. So once again, we see this love.
How do you explain this?
And the Nakuda is, as we've spoken on different occasions, that Hashem is toiv and tachlis hatoiv. Hashem is good, and everything that comes from Him is good. And even a yerida
It's also good.
is also good. Why? Because the yerida is tzairach aliyah. At the end of the day, the light that will enter this world, the revelation of Hashem and the relationship we have with Hashem, that we will experience when Mashiach comes, is infinitely higher than that which was in the first Beis HaMikdash and the second Beis HaMikdash. And the Beis HaMikdash had to be destroyed to make way for our Avodah, the Avodah in Galus, which is leading to the third Beis HaMikdash. So even though it seems the Beis HaMikdash is a destruction, but it's a soiser al menas livnois. It's a destruction, and what was the purpose of the destruction is, and that's why Tisha B'Av is the birthday of Mashiach. How does that make sense? Yeah. When was Mashiach born? The idea of redemption, when did it begin? When the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed and our working galus began, that's when Mashiach was born. And obviously this galus of Mashiach we're still waiting for, but that's when the idea of Mashiach was born. And that's why, in time of the Bris Bein Absarim, when the time of the Gili of this tremendous love, Hashem says, I want you to know that I love you so much that I'm sending your kids into Galus. Because the geula that will come afterwards, the purpose of the galus is the geula. It's not like some people think, well, everything was very good, and then we did Averis, now if we punish for Averis, and then we'll go back to the way it was. No. That's a very shallow look at it. It's not that galus is because of Averis. No, the galus was part of the plan before we ever did an Avera. In Bris Bein Absarim, the Ruzhiner says, Mipnei chata'enu galinu marsenu, mipnei also means before. Mipnei chata'enu, before we ever sinned, galinu marsenu was already part of the plan that we're going into galus. Why? Because in order to bring about the geula, you have to have the galus. So it's all part of the fact that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed in the month of our father. Avinu Avarachman tells us that everything is chasad and megulim, everything is chasad megulim.
Would have been destroyed even without the Chatoim. Comes out what you're saying, without, if the Yidden were perfectly righteous.
Let's leave that question for later.
All right. I
mentioned this word last week, I think after class to some people, where the pasuk says in Eicha, Kol reit feha hisiguha bein hamitzarim. Kol reit feha, all those who pursue Klal Yisrael reach their bein hamitzarim. So says the Tzemach Tzedek, what is reit feha? Ach toiv v'chesed yirdefuni. That the toiv v'chesed, which chases us, and by the way, why is it chasing us? Because we're running away from it. Why are we running away from it? Because we don't recognize it for toiv v'chesed. It looks like suffering. It looks like a terrible thing. But hisigua bein hamitzarim, it reaches us, and ultimately we're waiting for the moment when Mashiach comes, when we'll realize that all of this is takat toiv v'chesed. Taking us back to the pasuk that we had beforehand. The Yidden coming and screaming to Hashem, Misinas Hashem Eisanu. This is Hashem's sinah to us. Comes along Rashi, and Rashi says, no. V'hu haya oyev eschem. You might think that this is sinah, but He loves you. And this is something also benegates the entire Klal Yisrael. Because you think about, by the way, this thing that they screamed, Mesinas Hashem Eisanu. When did they scream it? What was the day of the year? Tisha B'Av by night. Yeah. In fact, it's brought down in Sfarim that Tzemach Tzedek brings down from the Emek HaMelech that that which they said, Mesinas Hashem Eisanu, that was the cause of the whole catastrophe. And he says the first words of Eicha Yashva Badad Ha'ir, the Rashi Tevis of that is Eva, which is hatred. Eicha Yashva Badad Ha'ir. The hatred is the Sinas Hashem Eisanu. That brought us to Eicha. The fact that you didn't look at Hashem and say He hates us. And comes along Rashi and says, no, don't make that mistake. Hashem loves you. Even when it seems that we're not even talking about over here, they talking a Chinik when they said Mesinas Hashem Eisanu. But even when Taka was a reason to feel Mesinas Hashem Eisanu, we have to know that comes along Rashi and says that's not the case. The case is now the truth is that every single year on Tisha B'Av we feel the pain and we feel the suffering and we feel the mourning, and we trust and we hope that one day we'll see also the Toiv Chesed, the Oyev Eschem. But this year, Tisha B'Av is on Shabbos. And this is something we've spoken about on several occasions. When Tisha B'Av is on Shabbos, we don't see the Sinas Hashem Eisanu at all. We don't see the difficulty. We see only the Hu Ha'oyev Eschem. We see only the Kruvim Me'urim Zebazeh. We see only the Bris Bein Absarim. We see the Ava, because Shabbos is Me'ein Elam Haba. Chemdas Hayam Me'isek Rasa. So therefore, on Shabbos, this Shabbos, we celebrate. The Mitzvah Hashem Mashiach will be here before the Shabbos and to celebrate His birthday together with us. But even if Chas v'Shalom we're still in Galus at that time, but you have to know that the Shabbos, when Tisha B'Av falls on Shabbos, only the good within it is revealed. Only the Ava and the Chesed is revealed. And when we focus on Ava, when we focus on Chesed, and we're happy, and this Tisha B'Av and Shabbos Tisha B'Av is a time to be extra b'simcha. And we're happy, we'll take away to pull away the curtain and reveal everything for what it really is, to really see the Ava for Hashem, to us, Hashem's Ava to us in a revealed way.